Welcome to a new video in my home automation series, and in this Sonoff Basics series I want to go through a couple of scenarios how you can use either a PIR motion sensor or radar sensor to set up some automations in your home. And for this demonstration, as you can see, I have two sensors here. So this is the very new SNZB03P. This is a PIR motion sensor, and this is actually the second release of the PIR motion sensor, because there was an earlier model which had like this square shape, which has pretty much the same functionality, but I have this new sensor around, so I'm going to use that. And also we have the SNZB06P, which is a radar sensor. So that's a presence sensor, which is working on a different technology, and it's much better to detect presence, as in, somebody being in a room, whereas the PIR sensor is much better at detecting bigger motions as you like walk into the room. But if you stay in the room and you are relatively motionless, or you're just sitting in a chair and reading or watching TV, it's not going to detect your presence, because that's not really motion anymore. And I've covered this in a separate video, and I compared how the two behaves and how it works. So again, you can check that video out. But as I talk through these scenarios, I'm just going to mention which one is better for each of the scenarios. And just like before, I don't think that these are the only 5 options or the best 5 options that you can use in an eWeLink application, but this is the ones that I had in mind. And if you have any better ideas, just let me know in the comment section below, so maybe we can just revisit this topic in a future video. Okay, so the first one is the most obvious one. We are going to use a motion activated lamp, or we are going to configure a motion activated lamp, which you can easily buy as a single unit. But now we are going to use this PIR motion sensor, and we are going to use the Sonoff Dual, one of these outputs, to turn on whenever this detects motion. And I think because I'm sitting right in front of it, probably it's not going to be easy to demonstrate how this one works, because this is going to pretty much detect motion all the time. So maybe what I try to do is I try to put this cover onto it, so it's going to think that there is no motion anymore. And by the time I set up the automations, we can test that how it works once I remove the box. But I'm not guaranteeing anything. So what we are going to do in the eWeLink application, we go to the scenes and we start setting up the scenes. So we need 2 scenes. Once, if motion is detected, then the light should come on, and once motion is no longer detected, then the light should go off. So in the trigger, we have smart device, and we use the Z03P, and we are going to use motion detected. And by the way, at this point I want to highlight that the earlier motion sensor, which was just a simple 03, only had 2 triggers, no motion detected and motion detected. So this newer model has this additional thing, so you can set up a scene that it should only be triggered if motion is detected with like a dim condition. So again, it's not going to work when there is sufficient light around. So, but I'm just going to use the standard one. So motion detected, and then the action is going to be, sorry, not this one, smart device. And I'm going to scroll down to not this one, the dual, and I'm going to pick right, although it's going to be the left physical one because it's wired the other way around, and I'm going to turn it on. So this is motion detected. Okay, the scene is on and the light did not turn on, so that's a good sign, because it's not detecting my motion with the box on. So in the next one, I'm going to do the opposite. So smart device 03P, no motion detected, and smart device and the dual, and then I think we did the right one, right? And I'm going to turn it off. And I'm just going to call it no more motion. Good, so we have our 2 scenes created. So motion detected, I just want to show, I was changing the right one. So now these 2 are created, so let's see if it works, fingers crossed. So I remove it, and the light comes on. So this actually works, and I'm going to put this one back. And of course, with this I can just also show you that with these motion sensors, these battery operated motion sensors, there is always going to be a delay how long it takes for it to detect motion, and how long it takes to actually check again and say, oh, there is no more motion detected. I think it would take at least 1 minute for it to say that there is no more motion detected, and it's just going to turn off the light, which, I mean, this is how these battery sensors work. You can't really do too much about this one. Also, with the older sensors, there was an issue that if it says that it's no longer detecting motion, it usually goes into sleep mode to conserve battery. And that sleep mode was usually 1 minute, which means that if you walk a bit in front of the sensor again within that 1 minute sleep window, it would just not detect your motion. But at least this new sensor, which is the 03P, you can reduce that time from 1 minute even down to like 5 seconds. But of course, then you are going to eat through the battery much quicker. And as you can see, this is how much time it took for it to say that there is no motion detected anymore, and the light has turned off. And if I remove this, then, well, this one at least, it triggered the motion again. So for this, actually, it is, you know, fairly quick to respond, but that was definitely a criticism with the older model, but at least with this one, it is configurable. So as you can see, you know, it's a pretty, you know, good automation. It pretty much behaves the same way as how a simple motion activated lamp would work. But of course, now you have the added flexibility that you can move the motion sensor at any point. So you can place it better to cover the area where you want the the motion to be picked up and the light to be turned on. And of course, it also means that you can have two of these sensors to cover or to activate the same light. If the sort of the geography, or like if it's a long corridor and you want, you know, some people to be lit, they're coming either way from the corridor. That could be very difficult to cover with one single motion sensor, but you can have two motion sensors, two of these 03Ps, and then one's pointing to one area, one direction, the other one is pointing the other direction, and you will create two scenes, or actually four scenes, so two on scenes and two off scenes, and they would be able to control the lights much better if you would just have one single motion sensor. The second scenario is very similar to this one, but here, let's say you don't want to rely on the motion sensor to tell you when there is no motion detected, because let's say this is a scenario where you just walk by and you leave the area usually very quickly, so you don't even want the light to be on for even 1 minute or half a minute. So you just want it to be lit for a certain amount of time. Or maybe you want it to be lit for, a couple of minutes or 10 minutes if it's a driveway, so it detects when your car moves around. You still want the driveway to be lit as you get out of the car, you walk to the house. But we can do that as well. So here we are going to create a new automation, and the first part of it is going to be exactly the same. So smart device, 03P, motion detected. And on the next one, again, we are going to turn on the light. So let's say dual, the right channel is on. But here we are going to add some additional actions, and I'm going to add a delay. I'm going to keep it low so we don't have to wait for long, but let's say just 5 seconds. And after that 5 seconds elapsed, then I'm going to turn the lights off immediately. So I'm not going to rely on the motion sensor to tell me that the guy has gone already. I really just want the motion sensor to tell me that somebody is in the area. So I'm just going to call it motion activated light. It's done. Okay, so now if I remove this, then it comes on, and if we just wait for a couple of seconds, it's going to go off. And sorry, just before I test it again, I just realized that I put the delay to 30 minutes and 5 seconds, not just 5 seconds. So now I fixed that. Let me just save it. Oh, it's already triggered. So now we have to, but actually it works. So I think it still picked up some motion from the, when I placed the box on top of the sensor. But as you can see, the light has turned off after 5 seconds. And at this point, I want to mention that if you want to use this scenario to light a room where you want to stay for a longer period of time and not just walk in, or maybe it's like a toilet or a small utility room or basement. As when you walk in, you want these lights to come on, let's say on a staircase. But then if you want that room to be lit as long as you are in, then instead of the PIR sensor, you should really be using the presence sensor, because as I said, it is much better of picking up the very small amount of motions when you are just like sitting, or if the sensor is really close to you, like in 1 or 2 meters, then it basically just pick up your breathing and then sense that as a presence. So when you are setting up the rules for this type of scenarios or the scenes, then in the trigger side, you still select a smart device, but then you look for the presence sensor, which is, well, I just called it SNZB06P, and it has the very similar actions, or the very similar, triggers than the PIR sensor. They are just named differently, but actually you can see here that it says person detected. So it's not so much as the motion is detected, but actually there is a person, let's say, sitting, watching the phone or watching TV, and that would be a much better scene or a much better option to keep the lights on as long as you are staying in the room. And of course the rest of the setup is going to be exactly the same what we discussed before. For the next scenario, we want to move away from lights and we want to focus on notification and maybe sounds. So what I want to set up here is that, again, I'm going to use the motion sensor. Let's say this motion sensor is placed outside, although I think this is not rated for outside, but I think as long as you see, you put it in a porch where it's covered and it's not going to get rained on, then yeah, I think it should be safe. But so let's say we want to detect if somebody is moving towards our house. So even before he reaches the door to press the doorbell, we want to get some notifications. So what we can do, and actually we are going to test a couple of different things here. So it's going to start just like before. So smart device 03P, motion is detected. So we can send notifications to ourselves. Somebody at the front, let's say. Okay, and I can create another one as well. And actually we are going to use the NS Panel Pro here, which is sitting right here. It's not really doing anything. Actually, this is the Zigbee coordinator for these devices. And I can do smart device again, and I can select my NS Panel Pro, and I can choose an alarm. So here, alarm beeps, and I enable that, and I just use not this one. Okay, let's use this regular doorbell sound. I'm just going to give it some volume, and I just want to do, a custom, so it just, keeps this for 10 seconds. So maybe just to create 2 dings. Oh, actually, let me put on the mask so we can test it. So now when motion is detected, we are going to get the notifications on our phone, which is good because even if we are not at home, we will get the notification. And we can also make the NS Panel Pro to play this sound. So again, that if it's in the room, let's say if it's installed in a study, which is on the other side of the house, I will get this chime that somebody is approaching my door. So we can save this. Doorbell. Okay, it's already triggered. So I get a notification. Well, I even get a notification on the buzzer alarm, and then somebody is at the front door. And and I also get a message here that this got triggered on the NS Panel Pro. But that's fine, I can just dismiss that. Yeah, and it was triggered by this. So I think this is a very simple feature, but it can be used in a few scenarios where you want to monitor something and you just want to make sure that nobody is lurking around your house. For the next example, I want to turn my attention to heating and maybe optimizing energy use. And that is going to be very similar to the scenario that we talked about, the window and the door sensors, how we can use a window sensor to tell like a heating system to turn off or the AC to turn off because we just opened the window. So we can use this the other way around to use the occupancy sensor, for example, to just enable heating or disable heating. And just like what I mentioned previously, I won't be able to, show you the entire setup here because we just don't have these devices. And again, it's going to differ based on whether you are using like an AC unit or you have a central heater or furnace, HVAC unit, whatever, because they all work a slightly different way. But if you have, let's say, a mini-split AC system, a cooler or heater system, some of them have an input for an external window sensor. So they are definitely or specifically designed so that a window sensor is connected to it. So when the window sensor breaks the connection, then it basically just turns the AC off. So that's something that we can use with let's say, a presence sensor. So if this if it doesn't detect any presence in the room, we just send the signal to this mini split, the same signal what it would receive if the window gets open. So it basically just disables the heating or a cooling. Or if you have an HVAC system with a thermostat, what we can use is we can use a 4CH Pro that we wire in series with a thermostat. So the thermostat is sending the signal to your HVAC system to turn the heating on and off, but we can interrupt that signal with the 4CH Pro. So again, if the presence is detected, then the 4CH Pro is on, which says, there is somebody in the room, and it allows the thermostat signal to reach the HVAC to turn it on. But then if no presence is detected, then we disconnect the 4CH Pro, which breaks the connection. So even if the thermostat is telling your HVAC to start heating, it's just not going to do it because we disconnected the connection. Unfortunately, this is the best option I can offer you with eWeLink because there is no functionality in the eWeLink to control, like mini splits or HVAC system directly. So we can only do this sort of like crude way. And the setup is going to be very similar to how we control the lights. Maybe the controlling the relay is going to be the other way around. So, and for this, I think it is better that we use the presence sensor. So we create a scene where we look for smart device and the 06P, and when the person is present, then let's say I want to operate the 4CH Pro. And again, let's say that we have connected the thermostat line through channel 1. So I'm going to turn it on. So if there is presence, then I turn the relay on. Basically, I complete the circuit between the thermostat and the HVAC unit. And by this, I enable heating. And of course, I can create another scenario when presence is no longer detected. So smart device, 06P, no one present. Then I open the 4CH Pro. So smart device, where is it? 4CH Pro and channel 1, and I turn it off. I mean, on the 4CH Pro, we have 4 channels, and we are going to use one, so you can use the other 3 channels to control lights or something else. Unfortunately, there is no something like a 4CH Pro, which is a single channel. And the reason I'm picking the 4CH Pro here, because these systems usually require a simple contact between 2 terminals, and all the other Sonoff products, they usually switch the mains voltage. And of course, we don't want mains voltage to get into either the central HVAC system or your mini split. So we are going to save this one, and that's basically disables heating. As I said, it's a very crude way of doing something like this, but if you can't integrate these devices, probably that's the only option I can think about. And for the last example, I want to go back to security, and I want to show you a very simple example how you can create a very, again, simple security systems in the eWeLink application using just motion sensors. So what we are going to use, we are going to use this motion sensor to send us messages if motion is detected, and maybe let's assume that you have also a siren which is connected to a Sonoff device. Let's say this is Sonoff Dual. So when motion is detected, we are going to send a notification, and we are also going to sound a siren. So I'm going to create a new scene, and it's going to start the same as before. So when the 03P detects motion and save, then we are going to send the message. Alarm. And we are going to turn something on. So not this one, smart device, and dual. And now we are going to use the left. So we are going to turn this on. So let's say this is where our siren is connected. So the siren is going to come on, and let's say we don't want this siren to be on for a long time. So again, I'm just going to pick 5 seconds for the sake of testing. And after that, we are going to turn off the siren. So smart device, and I pick the same device, same channel, and I'm going to turn it off. So this is going to be my motion alarm. Motion alarm scene, and I'm guessing when I save it, it's going to trigger automatically. Yeah, it does, because I just placed the thing on, and I think it's still on. Yeah, but as you can see, I got the message, the siren was on for a short period of time, and the idea is working. And of course now it's going to trigger every single time. But what we can do is we can create a manual scene where I say it tap to perform, and here on the action side I can pick smart scenes, enable, disable scenes, and I can disable the motion alarm. So we are going to call this arm, well, just this arm. So now I've created a scene where if I click on it, because that's just going to be a button, then it's just going to disable this automation, and it's just not going to do, you know, the alarm functionality. And as you can see, you can attach an NFC tag to this one, which just means that you can trigger it using, you know, scanning an NFC code. So maybe you have just next to your door you have 2 NFC tags. You just place the phone on it, and it enables and disables your alarm. So if it's done, and if I click on it, as you can see now, I just removed the thing, and it is not triggering the automation. So I have disarmed. And you can see here there was a little bit of delay here, but you can see that the motion is now disabled. Oh, sorry, the automation is disabled, or the scene is disabled. And now I can create another one which says tap to perform, and this is going to enable the alarm. Yep, or enable the automation. Save, and that's going to be called arm. Done. And if I arm it, I think this will pick up motion immediately, and then it's going to turn on the thingy. Maybe with a little bit of delay. It looks like the enabling and disabling automation takes a little bit of time, because even if I go back, I think it shows that it's still disabled, but it will get enabled in a few seconds. Okay, so after clicking on the arm button, now you can see that the motion alarm scene is enabled again. And I think this guy was sleeping for some time now, so I think he's done his beauty sleep, so it's time to wake up. And it did. And I got the notification, the siren is on, and the siren is off now. So yeah, I got the alarm. So it's working now. I'm not saying that this should substitute an alarm, you know, like a proper alarm system, because there is obviously delays here. There is like cloud communication. If your internet is down, then this whole thing is not going to work. But again, the functionality is there if you want this as like a second option, or you want this notification on your phone, along with your regular alarm system, then the functionality is definitely there and you could use it. And it is very simple to set up, as you can see here. Okay, so these were the 5 ideas or the 5 scenes that I could think of that probably are the most useful when it comes to motion sensors or presence sensors. And as I said, if you have any better ideas, please leave them down in the comment section below, and maybe we can revisit this topic in a follow-up video. But I think that will be all for today. Thanks for watching, and hopefully see you in the next video.